Anthony Edwards will be an all-time great player. Ever since Edwards was drafted, it was pretty clear that there was something special with this guy. He was putting up incredible numbers and he was looking phenomenal while doing so. It was pretty clear that this guy had a lot of skill offensively and he was only going to get better with time. And ever since his rookie season has come and gone, we've seen significant improvement from Anthony. And at this point, a lot of people, including myself, see this guy as a generational type talent and a guy who could potentially be one of, if not the best players in the NBA in the future. But quickly, before we get the video started, for those of you who may not know, I'm Juicy Sports. I make opinionated NBA content, and if you guys enjoy videos similar to this, hit that subscribe button, that like button, and that post notification bell. I also want to quickly mention that I recently started up an MMA channel, and if you guys are interested in that, the link will be in the description. But anyways, let's get into it. Anthony Edwards was originally drafted with the #1 overall selection during the 2020 NBA draft by the Minnesota Timberwolves. And originally when Ant was coming into the NBA, there definitely was a lot of hype and excitement about what he could potentially do at the next level due to his size and skill that he was showing off in college. But at the same time, there definitely were a lot of questions and concerns about him, as a lot of people were questioning his drive to play basketball and to play in the NBA, as not too long before the NBA draft, Anthony Edwards himself was talking about potentially dropping basketball and moving on to football, and just due to the fact that there were some questions and concerns about what Anthony Edwards himself wanted to do, either basketball or football, definitely led a lot of scouts and a lot of different NBA teams to be a little bit concerned about this guy. Because if you're drafting a player with the #1 overall selection, even if he has all the talent in the world, if he wasn't necessarily completely driven and completely sold on the fact that he was going to play basketball in the NBA and that was going to be his future, there definitely was a little bit of a concern about that. But ever since the Timberwolves drafted Edwards and ever since he started playing in his rookie season, it was pretty clear that the Timberwolves got their pick exactly right. As in his rookie year, he averaged 19 points per game on 4.7 boards and 2.9 assists. Just incredible numbers, but especially when you watched him out there, it was pretty clear that he was even better than those numbers would suggest. As Edwards was doing some things in certain games and in certain stretches that really nobody can do besides all-stars or even superstars. So the fact that we were seeing this young player for the Timberwolves put up incredible scoring nights, hit incredible shots, and play extremely clutch basketball at times in his rookie year was definitely something that was very exciting and definitely something that a lot of fans were looking forward to in the long-term future as well with Anthony Edwards. And fortunately for Anthony Edwards and for the Minnesota Timberwolves, that's exactly what happened, as Anthony consistently improved his game season after season until this point, where this season so far, Anthony is averaging 26 points per game on 5.4 boards and 5 assists. But a question that some of you may be wondering at this point is, why do I think Anthony Edwards is going to be an all-time great in the future? Well, I think so for a couple different reasons, but one of the main reasons why I feel this way is due to the improvement that Anthony has shown over the years and due to his play specifically this season. This season from Anthony Edwards, I think we're seeing some things different from what we've seen in the past. Of course, as I mentioned before, ever since he came into the NBA and every season in between then and now, Anthony has always put up incredible numbers. But when you looked at his team success, it wasn't necessarily there, at least compared to this season. But this season, I definitely do think there are a couple of differences within Anthony Edwards' game that could definitely lead to the reason for why the Timberwolves are playing so much better this year. And in my opinion, the biggest reason for why that is the efficiency. I think Anthony Edwards is just playing a lot more efficient basketball this season as compared to what he was doing in the past. Whether you talk about his efficiency from three-point range, whether you talk about his efficiency from that mid-range area, or driving all the way to the basket, it just seems like Edwards now at this point has a better understanding of what shots he should and shouldn't take. Because if you have all the skill in the world like Anthony Edwards does, but you also have a better understanding of shot selection and a better understanding of the NBA game, which is definitely something that Anthony Edwards has learned over the years since being in the NBA, it just makes you that much more dangerous. Because obviously, if he's taking better and more high quality shots, he's going to hit a higher percentage of those shots. And the higher percentage that he does shoot, it's only going to help his team win more in clutch time, but also even in regulation as well. So I definitely do think the efficiency improvements that we have seen from Anthony Edwards is a huge reason for why the Timberwolves as a team are playing much better basketball as well, and is a huge huge reason for why I think Anthony Edwards has a real chance to be one of, if not the best players in the NBA someday. But another huge difference between Anthony Edwards' game this season and Anthony Edwards' game in the past is due to his playmaking ability. Because at this point, I think Edwards just does a much better job at facilitating. When he's getting doubled or triple teamed, he does a much better job now than he's done in the past at finding guys wide open. Whether you talk about wide open for catch and shoot 3-point jump shots, or wide open cutting back door for wide open dunks or layups, it seems like at this point, Edwards just does a much better job at finding the open guys as compared to what he was doing in the past. But even besides when he's getting doubled or triple teamed this year, I think he's just improved upon his passing and playmaking abilities significantly. As there have been times where he's running the offense through himself, and he does a really nice job at breaking down the defense and finding guys for open looks. And of course, the more open looks you can generate for your teammates, the easier it's going to be to score offensively, and the more difficult it's going to be to defend this team. So I think at this point, when you look at what Anthony Edwards has done, the fact that he has done a much better job at shooting better shots and being more efficient for it, while also doing a much better job at facilitating for his teammates and getting his guys open looks, it just makes the Timberwolves that much more difficult to defend and makes the Timberwolves that much better of an overall offense. Now, besides those two factors, his defense is also a significant factor. Really, ever since Anthony made it to the NBA, he has been known as a pretty good defender, and as the years have been progressing, it seems like he's getting a little bit better and better in terms of his overall defense. And at this point, he does a really nice job in clutch time situations at playing really good defense on the opposing team's best player, whether that means on-ball defense or at times even off-ball defense. And overall, I think when you look at Anthony Edwards from top to bottom, based upon what he's able to do individually offensively, based upon his improved passing and playmaking ability, based upon the fact that he does a really nice job at defending, whether you talk about on-ball or off-ball, I think based upon all those factors, I do definitely think that this guy is going to be a generational type talent, and he has the potential to be one of, if not the best players in the long-term future. But the next question that some of you may be wondering at this point is, what are my overall expectations for the Timberwolves, not only this season, but also in the long-term future? Well, in my opinion, based upon how well Anthony Edwards has been playing this year and how much he's improved every single season that he's been in the NBA, I definitely would have very high expectations. Obviously, at this point, the Timberwolves are one of the best teams in the NBA, and I would expect them to play like that once it comes down to playoff time. Obviously, once it comes down to the playoffs, I would fully expect this team to make it past the first round and maybe even make it past the second round. I just definitely do think they have enough talent on the roster to potentially even contend for an NBA championship, but the reason for why I'm not expecting that at this point is just due to the lack of success that the Timberwolves have had for so many years. This is really the first year that they've been in the playoffs, and really the first year that they've been expected to do a lot, which is something that hasn't happened for a very long time for Minnesota. So due to that factor, I wouldn't necessarily expect them to make the NBA Finals and of course even win it. But with that being said, I definitely do think they have enough talent on the roster to potentially do so. But in terms of their long-term expectations, I fully would expect them to win an NBA championship within the next 5 or so seasons. But I guess only time will tell what does end up happening for both Anthony Edwards, but also for the Minnesota Timberwolves. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Anthony Edwards has a chance to be one of, if not the best players in the NBA someday, or do you not think so? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, check one of these two videos popping up now, and until the next time, peace out, guys.